What's up everybody, it's Exiles back again with another video, straight off the bat of the last one. It is spooky season and we are continuing our sort of Halloween themed deck profiles with a competitive Unchained deck profile for you guys. I've always loved this deck, it's fantastic, and now it's pretty budget. So you can pretty much get the entire Unchained core for under £20, and then it's up to you how much you spend on the rest of the main deck. And extra deck. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get in and see what Unchained can do. So to start off, we've got 3 copies of Aruha. This guy can special summon himself from the hand by destroying a card you control. He locks you into fiends, as does the other twin if you use this effect. However, this is the way you can start kicking off your plays. You can destroy one of your own back row and then get more effects off of that. All of the Unchained monsters have effects when they're destroyed. Aruha can special summon an Unchained monster from hand or deck, except himself, which is awesome. Rukia, the twin sister, is also really good because it has a quick effect that lets you target a card you control and destroy it. So you can use this as sort of disruption to get a quick effect off in your opponent's turn, as well as the fact that it carries the same effect as Aruha, being that it can float into a Unchained monster with a different name. This is a really useful card in the deck and you should play no less than 3. Next, arguably probably the best twin, it's a standalone, Sarama. Essentially speaking, this can target an Unchained card in your graveyard, except Sarama. You get to set it to your field, that's monster or spell or trap. Then you can destroy one card you control. And obviously, if Sarama is destroyed on field by card effect, it can float into an Unchained monster except Sarama. All of these effects are hard ones for turns, by the way, which is awesome. Yeah, I really like Sarama because you can essentially take back any of your dead Unchained cards, spells, traps, monsters, set them to your field and then blow them up straight away to have you float into something, and this is really cool. Unchained is more of a blind going second deck, I believe, so I've tailored this deck to be playable that way. We've got the 2 Abominable Unchained Soul. This guy's really cool because he's 3k beta. He can special summon himself from the hand if one of your cards is destroyed by a battle or card effect. And if he's special summoned, you can discard a card to destroy any card on the field. And once per turn during the end phase, if he's in the graveyard because he was destroyed on the field and sent there this turn, you can special summon him, but he's placed on the bottom of the deck when he leaves the field. So this guy will always end up in your deck if you resolve that graveyard effect in the end phase. Really good in combination with Rukia, because if you put one of your back row on your opponent's turn with Rukia and summon this guy's a sort of Zodiac Trident, and you can put one of your opponent's cards and help disrupt their plays. That's if you're forced to go first as well, and that sometimes happens. We've got like side decks and stuff for that. The 1 Unchained Soul of Disaster. Essentially, this is the one you want to bring out if you want to start linking off your opponent's monsters going second. So what Unchained Soul of Disaster does, I'll break it down for you. This guy gains 300 attack for each Unchained card in your graveyard. And you can only use the following effects of Unchained Soul of Disaster once per turn. You can target face-up monster your opponent controls, and immediately after this effect resolves, you can link summon a Dark Link monster using only this card you control and the opponent's monster as material. Also, if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, this guy can special summon an Unchained monster in your graveyard, except Unchained Soul of Disaster. So Disaster is a really good card, especially to remove your opponent's threats. Again, main problems is it targets, which is a bit annoying. This deck does have a little bit difficulty dealing with cards like Dragoon, but we'll talk more about that moving forward. Now on to the disruption going second. We're playing the Gamma package, triple Gamma and 1 Driver. Gamma's really good this format, especially because it destroys the card it negates, and it can help push your plays forward if needs to be, which is also really cool. The triple Ogre, I like Ogre because this guy can stop searchable sort of field spells, continuous spell effects, works really well against kind of like Shadow's Schism as well, especially if you're against Dogmatic or something. And yeah, it's just a really nice card to have, I really like it. And triple Nibiru, because going up against combo decks, you don't want them to go get very far. You want to be able to disrupt them as much as possible and wait for as long as possible before they end their board. Now onto the spell lineup. Triple Abomination's Prism. This lets you search any Unchained card and add it from your deck to your hand, so it's basically the rotor of the deck. And if it's set and it's destroyed, you can special summon an Unchained monster from the deck, and both effects are hard once per turns. So all of the Unchained back row, including Abomination's Prison, have the effect where if they're set on the field and they're destroyed by a card effect, they float into Unchained monsters from the deck, which is really cool. Especially a nice tech you could play in this deck would be something like Waking the Dragon, but I think your opponent would be more reluctant to play back row removal like Lightning Storm against this deck, mainly because you get more advantage off of cards like that. So it's quite funny that a card such as expensive as Lightning Storm can actually be more of a benefit against this deck than a hindrance. The one Wailing, this is a I don't really like this one, but you kind of have to play it just for the name. So if you link summon an Unchained Link monster, you can target one card on the field and destroy it. Okay, fair enough. If it's set and destroyed on the field by card effect, you can special summon an Unchained monster from your deck, and both effects are hard once per turn. Again, it's mostly for the float effects. Now, Triple Dark Hole. Why? Because not only does Dark Hole help you remove your opponent's board, or what that is, it works as an excellent bait, and as well, it can float your own monsters, because if you're destroying your own stuff, obviously you're getting the float off, meaning that's why I like running Dark Hole over Raigeki especially. You could play 3 Dark Hole, 1 Raigeki, but there's not really any point because you want to destroy your own stuff, right? Now for back row removal, the best thing about Twin Twisters is the fact that if you destroy your own cards with it, then you still get the float, but it also works really well to destroy against that pesky back row your opponent has. And the double Cosmic Cyclone to get rid of the back row your opponent has that might have protected itself in some way, shape or form. Trap lineups, always triple copies of Abominable Chamber. It has a float effect, as well as the fact that it lets you special summon an Unchained monster from your hand or graveyard as its main effect. And the triple escape, which lets you target an Unchained monster you control and any card on the field and destroy it. And it also carries the float effect as with every other Unchained card. Now onto the extra deck. We've got 14 cards here, mainly because the 14th card would be something like Access Code Talker, but I don't have access, get it, to that card yet, but we'll see how we go forward. Triple Unchained Soul of Rage. Requires an Unchained Soul monster and another monster. During your opponent's main phase, you can target face-up special summon monster opponent controls, and then you get to link summon a dark link monster except Unchained Soul of Rage by using only that opponent's monster and this card, and if it is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target a Fiend monster in your graveyard except Unchained Soul of Rage and add it to your hand. Again, good recursion. The monster you mainly want to be summoning off of Unchained Soul of Rage is Nightmare Unicorn, because this acts as an additional disruption against your opponent's field removal, but you need to just make sure you have that card discard for cost in order to do so. We'll follow up with the double copies of Unchained Soul of Anguish. This card works better in tandem with things like your opponent's Link 2 monsters and Unchained Soul of Disaster, because it doesn't carry a quick effect. So with Unchained Soul of Anguish, you can only link summon using it during your turn. So it's a little bit... it's basically a Link 3 version of Unchained Soul of Disaster, but, you know, it also carries the same recycling ability as Unchained Soul of Rage when it hits the graveyard. Now on to the best one, Unchained Abomination. Basically, this card just says destroy, destroy, destroy everything. It requires 2+ monsters, including a Link monster, and if a card on the field is destroyed by a card effect, you get to destroy a card on the field and target and destroy a card on the field. If another monster is destroyed by battle, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. And during the end phase, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. Each of these effects are once per turn, hard once per turn effects. Abomination just destroys everything. Pretty much, if you manage to get this guy out going second, you should have cleared your opponent's board and been able to OTK them by then. But you can also drag the game out a little bit and see what your opponent has to respond with, which is awesome. Now, for the other non-Unchained monsters, we've got the Masquerina. This can link off into an Invincible Abomination, which is really cool, as well as be able to go into things like Nightmare Unicorn on your opponent's turn if you don't have access to the Unchained Soul of Rage. which is awesome. The one Cerberus, it's not a dark attribute, which is a bit annoying, but again, it can work as nice removal. And triple Topologics. These cards are fantastic disruption options against your opponent, especially if they're playing either back row heavy decks, monster heavy decks, or everything in between. You have a way of doing that. Zeroboros is essentially your link 4 that you can go into off of Masquerena, providing you have the materials, which is awesome. Aside from cards like Access Code, but that is rounding off the 14 card extra deck, apologies, with the Phantom Knights of Breaksword. The 15th card can be anything you want. Breaksword in particular is very good because you're running a lot of level 3 monsters in the deck. You can overlay them, destroy your own card, destroy your opponent's card, and get more advantage off like that. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this very spooky deck profile of Unchained. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you think I should add more consistency cards, if you think my deck needs a bit of tweaking here and there. But that's been Al from Exiles, and I hope you have an amazing October, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.